Welcome back, everyone, to Michelin Studio Live, literally live here from the Sebring 12 Hours. Now, as you can tell, the light is going down a little bit since we last talked. And if you're following along on television or online, definitely this is shaping up to be an epic motor race. This time of the race, with just over 3 hours to go, is a very formative one for so many reasons. If you've made it this far, you're balancing up whether to push as hard as you can to the finish and risk making a mistake. And in today's racing, you have to do that. Or, with the way the track's going as it cools down, watching and being part of someone else's accident. Now, a man that knows more about that than nearly anyone alive is Hurley Haywood, who's won this race 5 times. Thanks for being here, Hurley.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on the other side of the coin, we have George Laboda, whose website, online, all his social media is called Gent's Lounge. So what George does is really represent the finest things in life. And here you are in the middle of Sebring, so thanks for coming along.
Thank you so much.
Great, great, great. So, Hurley, you know what it's like right now. Thank goodness the sun has just dropped below the horizon. What was it like all those years, especially in the super fast Porsches, when the sun would just hit the front of that windscreen? You knew if you were in the car for quite a tough time, weren't you?
Well, when the sun sets here, I mean, literally you cannot see anything going out the front windshield. And you've got to, adjust your visor perfectly. You kind of lower it down inch by inch to sort of protect your eyes from that intense sun. And this was terrible today. And going into the last corner, it's pretty much blind. And then once you get through that corner, you're free to go again. But now when the sun sets and the track cools off, this is when, if you're behind, this is the time you really got to push hard.
It's a chance to make up sort of a deficit, because if you're brave, if you push, if you take risks, it really does come together. But of course, it's a very, like the sun setting, it does happen very quickly. And once it's down, we're now into the really sporty part of this race, aren't we?
This is, it's the same thing here as in Daytona. The nighttime is when the real hard racing goes on, because the track temperature gets lower. The cars work better, the air is denser, so this is when you really, put it all on the table and go for it.
Push the finish. Well, George, the most dangerous thing you did today was, I think, driving the golf cart up here against the sunset, right?
Yes,
you
that
can
was
see
the
what
most
that was
difficult
like.
part of the day.
But last night, what was amazing, these guys actually got to drive the circuit. They got to drive it in a variety of cars, as well as being driven by some of the top GTLM drivers. You get to drive some nice cars with the Gent's Lounge, but that was something special.
This was a wonderful experience. It was unbelievable. I mean, when we got to get out on the track and drive the different cars, I'm new to racing and new to all this experience, and honestly, I learned so much in such a little amount of time that it was unbelievable. And then when we had the chance to get in the race cars with the drivers and see how they drove the track, it was truly, I have so much more respect for race car drivers at this point. It's got to be so difficult to stay out there for 12 hours. It's unbelievable.
Hurley has just released a book. He is definitely one of the finer gentlemen of our sport, and really has, been around this amazing culture of motorsport and lifestyle automotive for a very long time. He's been involved with amazing brands. I mean, he's very much a Porsche man. He's involved with Rolex. He's pretty much a statesman of our sport. George comes from literally the best watches, the finest foods, the best restaurants. He's got a pretty good gig going over here, and about 1 million followers who enjoy watching him do it. Michelin have curated and connected everybody here. Is racing a natural place for that to happen, or do you now think that it really is?
I mean, honestly, it's all about passion. And when you find passionate people that are passionate about anything, you can relate to passion. Like, I understand all of these guys that drive cars every day and are so passionate about it. I get where they're coming from. I understand why they're so passionate about it. And, I mean, I've had conversations with these guys that, they've never probably worn a suit, more than 4 times in their life. And they come up to me and they understand why I'm passionate about, the watches, the clothes, the, different types of spirits and whatnot, the good food. And, I mean, passion understands passion. It's just an attitude,
Hurley, over the years, obviously, we've seen the way the car world goes in sort of, it's a gentle roller coaster, maybe not so gentle sometimes. Right now, I think we're in a modern heyday for some incredible vehicles from every car manufacturer. the build quality, the luxury, but the performance levels that the average person, the guys here, can go and get. I mean, unheard of. Maybe faster than the cars you won here originally.
I mean, you know, I drive from St. Augustine to my office. It takes me about 40 minutes to do it every morning. And how fast people drive on the road to me is just amazing. And these are people, you know, driving pickup trucks, driving family sedans, driving every car that you can think of, and they are just going like bats out of hell. And the reason that they're able to do that is the sophistication of the cars have become so advanced that even just an average driver can drive a car, and not an expensive car either, just a regular, you know, Chevrolet or Ford or whatever it is, very quickly and safely on the street. So it's, you know, sometimes these guys go by and I'm going, you know, you just don't know what you don't know. And the electronics in the car will save them when they get into a problem. So that's really a cool element to trust.
They also don't know they're overtaking Hurley Haywood. I was just thinking that. Is that dude Hurley Haywood as I go by? As you watched here, you see this race unfold, and obviously, I know you, as you said, you got a lot of respect for the drivers. I think you got a good appreciation for how big world motorsport is. I mean, there's about 110,000 people here. There's about 50,000 of them camping. I think 10,000 of them were outside my motorhome last night with stereos. It was a bit mean. It's a happening.
Of course.
Crazy.
It is. I mean, it's a very new experience to me, but I think it's probably only one of the sports that you can get out essentially on the field and meet the athletes and be in that space so close to all the action even before it starts. Like, we were out on the grid this morning, and that was unlike anything I've ever done. Like, I've had the privilege to be on a football field or on the floor at a basketball court, but that's a special experience for most people. This is, you know, you let everybody, which is amazing, and there's no exclusivity. Everyone gets a chance, which is phenomenal. It
is amazing because when you have that many teams and 3 drivers a car, that's an awful lot of egos jammed in one pit lane. But we all love it. I mean, it really is. It's been an incredible journey for these influencers, and I'm slightly sort of jealous of the journey they've gone, Hurley, because last night after the drive, IMSA were an amazing collaborator on this. I think the idea shook them up when it first came out, but Michelin, with a Michelin star chef, hosted a dinner on the exit of turn 17 in the middle of the track. And so you had a Michelin star chef and his staff plating and serving an incredible meal. He's a New Zealander, and he did it for these guys and a few invited guests. I know where you were over there in the Grand Marshal dinner. We were here doing that.
I much rather have been there.
It was extraordinary. That, again, was, I mean, very unexpected for anyone to do that. So for Michelin, they're really disrupting the norm. And that was pretty much a treat, right? I
mean, from what I heard, we are the only people to ever have a Michelin star dinner on any track ever in the world. So honestly, when I can say it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I can say that with complete confidence. It was amazing. The food was delicious. The wine was great. The atmosphere was just, it felt exhilarating.
The whole thing has come about because if you go back to the early 1900s, Michelin created the Red Guide eventually to help people enjoy the automobile. Racing came about, early 50s, people started racing here. It was just an enthusiast group who ended up being here. Everyone seeked out airfields. That's what they wanted to drive on after the war. Great time to do it. Now, a lot of decades later, we're here at the pinnacle of motorsport. The IMSA series is growing. I'm so glad you were able to come along, George. That was just amazing. I hope you'll tell everyone about it, spread the message about our world.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, perfect. And Hurley, I know you've retired now, but you're at every race. I see you everywhere. I see all the car events. The car world in this phase for you of just these lifestyle events, I think is not equally exciting to driving, but it's a pretty special time.
Well, I mean, I love doing this stuff. And it's when you're able to hook up with a company like Porsche and represent them and be their ambassador, it's really a thrill for me to be able to do that. You have so many fans out there that follow my career over the 40 plus years that I've been doing it, and just because you get out of the seat professionally doesn't mean that they're going to forget about you. So this is a nice way to, to give something back to the fans. And I got the book coming. The book is already out. The film will be out next month. And so it's an exciting period.
Well, I have a gentleman and a gentleman legend. So a big round of applause, obviously, for Hurley and George. That was great. Listen, thanks so much for watching. We have one more show at the end of the race. The sun is down. Thank you to Michelin for allowing us to do this show when Hurley and I can actually have good, nice light on our skin to make us look good. We'll see you later. Don't forget, follow along. Gents Lounge social media. Follow Hurley Haywood, Michelin USA. We'll see you just after the race.